You got a story the world needs to hear, a spark inside that's crystal clear. No more hiding in the digital crowd. It's time to stand up, speak out loud. Every dream starts with a single sound. Your message matters, let it resound. The spotlight's waiting, the mic is yours. Step into the moment, open the doors. Your voice, your vision, your stage. Turn the page, ignite the rage. From whispers to waves, let your truth engage. Your voice, your vision, your stage. You try to post, you played the game, but a real connection.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Storytelling Journey. I am your host, or one of your co-hosts, Americo, and I am super excited. I'm excited every time we go live. It's just become so contagious. I just get filled with dopamine and adrenaline, and I get all riled up. You might not see it in my face when I'm on camera, but these events do excite me. We are streaming live across 3 platforms today, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack. And our guest today is, here, let's jump to our guest. Our guest today is Liisa Reimann, and she is the funnel fixer. I am excited to bring her on stage in just a moment. We are going to bring the craft and the art and the science of storytelling and marketing funnels, and we're going to dive in and share with all of you how this all comes together. But this is a spotlight for Liisa. We're going to spotlight her first and foremost, get to learn a little bit about her before we dive into some of the questions that I have prepared. My co-host, Jay Pasqua, author of The Rules of Engagement in Storytelling. And welcome back. We're here for another week. How you doing, Jay? Are you there, Jay? All right.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Now we
I
can
guess.
hear you. Why don't we jump ahead onto the camera here, seeing how we had a little bit of a hiccup. I could hear you. We got Liisa on camera with us. Why don't we all jump on and make Liisa feel at home? Hi,
Okay.
Liisa, how you doing?
I'm fabulous. How are
All right,
you?
we're gonna let you hold things down while we bring Jay up on camera, and I will
Oh, I'll
also
do a little
jump on
dance, a
camera.
little song, maybe not.
There he is.
Hey,
Fantastic, Jay.
I I was I was trying to say things are popping. Things are going very well at the Nature Center in Georgia. We have a 17,000 square foot museum being built at this very moment, and we have now a roof over it. So there's a lot of activity going on over there. We have an RV resort that's probably going to be coming online in June. Lots of things happening over there, and I can't wait to tell more stories about the Nature Center, what's going on. But I digress. This is not my time to shine. It's really Lisa's, and I'm anxious really to hear, because here's the thing: I'm a business person, and I need people to come see me. I need
Mhm.
business. And one of the ways to do it, obviously, is through a funnel. And I've dabbled. I'm not a good, funnel maker, creator. But, I think we'll gain a lot from this discussion. So I'll shut up now.
All right. Why don't we let Lisa introduce herself as I jump into the chat? For those of you who have been following along, I got a new camera, so it's going to take a little getting used to. It will follow me. Hey, look at that! It moves around with me where my previous camera wasn't, and just last week it started to glitch. So I'm excited to play around with the new tech. Lisa, enough about me. I'm going to get off my soapbox and let you do your thing. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, who you serve, and anything else you'd like to add.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is so much fun already. So I am by trade, a copywriter. I moved into private practice um, just after the pandemic, and I help, small business owners, solopreneurs who are pretty much pivoting from corporate world into consulting. um, and who really need help with their marketing and telling their stories and standing out from the noise. Because we know that when you're in a company, there's a marketing department, right? There's a sales department, there's all these people doing it for you. And when you're on your own, suddenly you have to do it all yourself. So those are the people that I have a special soft spot in my heart for. And those are the people that I help establish themselves, because I really feel that small business and entrepreneurship is what drives our economy. It's what drives our communities. It's just the engine that could. And so I am here to support that in any way I can.
That is awesome. I'm going to cover Jay here just for a second, and we're going to bring up this graphic. I love the funnel fixer, that superhero look. This is going to be so much fun to repurpose. Play a little bit around with the AI, generating some images as you as the
Oh, great.
superhero. But you are the founder of a couple of schools.
Hmm.
You are the founder of the Funnel Forensics as
Hmm.
well as Dragon Boat. Tell
Yeah,
us a little bit
Dragon Boat
about those
School.
two schools.
Okay. So funnel forensics, one of my mantras, one of my, mottos is if it's not fun, why do it? And I'm the type of person that if it's not fun, I won't do it, including all the boring bits of entrepreneurship. And so for me, funnel forensics, as there's a play on the word fun as well. It's making funnel building fun and being part of your brand and showing your personality. That's one of the things that I do in terms of helping people figure out what their brand voice is, their brand strategy, their brand look. Is having that bit of personality and fun in it. And the school community really came out of me doing done for you copywriting for clients whose funnels, by no fault of their own, were a mess. The back ends looked like Swiss cheese. And so the copy didn't have a chance to do its job. And so I was working with a lot of people fixing the holes, tightening things up so that everything could work. And the more I worked with people, the more I realized this is what they really need help with. And that is where that school came out of. And we have a little fun detective theme. We walk around and we sneak around and we have, sleuth squad kind of things going on so that we have fun with it. Dragon Boat School came from, I'm also a Dragon Boat coach. I paddled for Team USA, I coached Team USA, and I now have a course on dragon boating that I brought over to the school environment, and I've expanded it. It's the fastest growing team sport, team water sport in the world. It's a lot of fun, and it's the biggest, best sport nobody's ever heard of, even though it's that. And so the community is all about people who want to improve their technique, who want to step up and learn how to steer, and who want to learn how to coach the sport as well. So it's kind of that mishmash of that dragon boat environment.
Toronto has a huge dragon boat
Hmm.
community,
Hmm.
uh,
Yep.
and we host an annual event. I don't know if you've ever come
Hmm.
down to one of our dragon boat
I
races.
have. I've raced in Montreal. I mean, in Toronto. I coached. No, I coached. I trained for years with a club in Montreal, and represented them around the world. And so, yeah, I'm very familiar with the Canadian scene. It's massive.
Awesome. Jay, marketing, you kicked us off by sharing a need for someone who can fix or help you create a funnel. Let's bring storytelling, because I think there's a correlation here, because we talk about storytelling and the importance of storytelling. And, you'll hear some top voices say, you know what, just be present, just show up, just be consistent. But how often do you find that consistency? Some people will interpret it as quantity. I just got to post, 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 and share my story. Others might think, um, here's who I need to share my story with. And it turns out that although there's good intentions, the impact is just detrimental because we're either um, diluting our message, misplacing our message, and as a result, breaking a funnel without really knowing. So let's marry the two and have you start and kick off the conversation.
Yeah, so I think let's start with the letters U and X. you're gonna you're gonna hear that a lot, right? When you deal with marketing and the user experience. That's where UX comes from, right? And for me, what that is, in my mind, what a funnel is, what the user experience is, it's a journey. It's the
Mhm.
user, it's the client, it's the customer's journey. But it goes even more basic for me than that. You know, I love your alliteration there with funnel forensics. I'm the storytelling strategist, so I love it.
Mhm.
Um, so that's great, and it to me that just tells a story in and of itself, right? You have to grab the person's attention, but what do you do with it once you have it? That's the key. And so
Mhm.
we take these people on a journey, and it starts for me with a story, and it
Mhm.
takes them down this path. And where are we leading them? Ultimately, to what we want to happen, which is for
Mhm.
them to buy, for them to work with us, for them to be a partner with us. To me, that's what it is. Now, I may be oversimplifying it. Tell me what is it? What is a funnel? You know, there's
Mhm.
a lot of people out there what a funnel is.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think you're dead on. And one of the things that I teach is that it's, we overcomplicate everything, including funnels. And, most people, when they think of a funnel, unless it's like funnel cake or a funnel, right? They think of, I love my funnel cake once a year at the fair, but what they think of as a funnel is that it is, a specific series of pages or that it's selling in a manipulative, squeezy, sleazy way. And it's really not. And I think you really hit upon it. It is a journey. It is taking the user on a pathway, and all a funnel really is a decision path to get them from where they are to where they want to be. And the story of the funnel is their story. So a funnel is the guide. If you're familiar with StoryBrand at all, right? um the provider is, we're not the teacher, we're not the advisor, we're the guide. We're helping the person go from A to B, but it's where they want to go, not where we want them to go. So as much as we want them to buy, um if they don't want to, then we can't force them to, right? Like, we have to help them get to where they want to be. And I think that's where most people miss the point. They think a funnel is a specific set of pages or a number of specific assets, that it's upsells and one-time offers and tripwires and all these. Marketing has lots of negative terminology too, which I'm not happy about. But it's not all those things. It's really just guiding somebody from where they are to where they want to be and helping them along the way.
Amen to that. And I tell you, live streaming is no different. I spend a lot of time convincing people who want to monetize their virtual events, their hybrid events. Hey, how quickly can we turn around and have a pop-up event
Mhm.
where I can charge people to come? It's like, well, hold on, put the brakes. Your live stream or your virtual event, your hybrid event is at the top of the funnel. Your intention should be raising
Mhm.
awareness and consideration for your offer. Your event should be purpose built to build trust and build, credibility for yourself to earn the right to move along the sales cycle.
Mhm.
and continue the conversation. It's not designed for us to like, and I know people, organizations, the big enterprises with big budgets, they will do those webinars. Those they talk for 45 minutes and then they got their offer at the end. And then they have their sales team who are just pounding the pavement trying to get to those who attended or those who registered to convert. You got to take it much slower, especially in this grassroots small business
Mhm.
ecosystem. Focus on trust, focus on building the right behaviors to earn the trust to continue that conversation.
Agreed. And I don't think webinars are bad. I do them, right? But
Yeah,
you know,
we're not saying they're bad. We're just saying, some people see
abs-
bigger bigger organizations doing it, or organizations who are well
mhm.
established, who have earned the right to be where they are, and people want to be there prematurely. They're they're at the infancy. They're just starting their business, but they want to be where they belong, but don't belong until for another year and a half down the road, right?
Yes and no, right?
Yeah,
It
it's okay to
it
disagree with the
is. It
host
is. I
and the
I think,
co-host.
one of the problems with a traditional funnel has always been seen as like a V shape, right? Like that. And the idea has been that somebody comes into the top and they go through all the stages in a linear fashion, but people aren't linear. People don't buy that way, but maybe they did before, like the internet and all the distractions that we have now, right? So people might come into a funnel and then they'll go sideways. They'll go look at Yelp reviews and they'll go do this and they'll go do that and then they'll get lost on Facebook for a while, right? Like all these things. People don't buy in a linear way. So the original funnel structure really doesn't work. And I also think that, this goes back to what I said about overcomplicating things. A funnel can be really simple. It can just be like a landing page and a school community, right? Like it can have two steps. It doesn't have to have 17, but it has to meet the people where they are. And this is speaks to what you were saying in terms of you have to meet the people where they are in their journey. And I liken it to a racetrack and a pit crew. If the pit crew is at the wrong spot on the racetrack when the driver needs his tires changed, then they're never going to win the race because that's just not going to happen. So you need to meet your people where they are and give them what they need in that moment. And that's all a funnel is.
Excellent. Now I have a great segue because we often hear, and some people say, my message just isn't
Mhm.
landing, right? What usually happens beneath the surface when a business owner or a marketer, they pour their heart into a message and it just
Mhm.
flatlines? Is that an indication that the funnel's broken? Is the message broken? How do you dissect a particular instance
Yes.
like this?
So there's lots of different kinds of leaks that a funnel can have and reasons why people, come into the funnel and fall out of it or stall in it, get stuck, never to be heard of from again. When people say, their messaging falls flat, sometimes the messaging is the problem. But it's not always. It's more that it's how the messaging is positioned. So you touched upon it in terms of people are so passionate about something and they just go all out and they tell their story. And this goes to a little bit to what you were saying earlier, Jay, as well. It's that people are telling a bit of the wrong story. So you have to tell your story, but you have to make sure that the user sees themselves in your story so that they can relate to it, so that they can feel seen and heard and understood and feel like, oh, this person really gets me, gets what I'm going through, and is the person to help me. And that's different from like, we talk about pain point marketing and outcome based marketing. There's all these different kinds of ways to structure the message. But ultimately, the person has to see themselves in your story, has to be able to relate to it, has to feel like, oh, this is me, and I can move forward here. So it's
I
positioning.
think Lisa may have touched, and I kind of picked up the answer to the question I was going to ask Jay, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Jay, same thing happens, I'm sure, with people trying to articulate their story and they get discouraged because they feel, well, who's going to want to hear it? it's not landing anywhere. What do I do? I'm just going to give up and
Mm.
on this storytelling because it's not for me. It doesn't work.
Oh man.
He's salivating. He's getting ready.
Yeah. See, and I believe that we are all storytellers.
Mhm.
And a lot of people out there, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean? I'm not a story. What are you talking about? And I just break it down like this. If you can do what I'm doing and communicate the way I'm communicating just by talking, by writing an email, can you do those things? I asked that question. Can you do those things? Well, of course. Of course. In the natural course of you doing life, you
Mhm.
communicate with other people. And the majority of times, how we communicate is through a story. You see, and sometimes I have to even go a little bit personal with some people. And I say, hey, look, do you have a kid? Yeah. How old's your kid? Oh, 4 years old. Perfect. Let me explain. When you try to make your kid, your child, understand why it's important to eat a balanced breakfast, do you
Mhm.
start by talking about the numbers, the calories, the amount of dietary fiber that the kid? No, you're talking to a 4-year-old, right? What do you do? And that gets them to think, oh, wait a minute. That's how you should approach it. How you look at your audience, the user that you want, that
Mhm.
they're your children. They're that 4-year-old that you're trying to reach and say, hey, you gotta eat your cereal. You gotta eat your whatever it is that you like in the morning, right? Yogurt with fruit, why that's important, right? These are the things that you wrestle with personally, but take that personal touch and bring it to your professional life and see how
Mhm.
that works. And you'll see that the mindset is the same. It's telling a story to an audience in a way that will impact them so that they do make the right decisions.
Mhm.
Ultimately,
Absolutely.
for me, I'm going to push back a little bit. The decision for me is I want them to buy for me. I
Mhm.
want them to work with me. So,
Mhm.
and I think that's the crux of storytelling and making people understand just how powerful it can be for their
Mhm.
business and their personal life. I see you shaking your head.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree with you, and I want people to buy from me as well, but I want them to feel like like it's their decision and that that we're in integrity, that we're in alignment, right? Like there has to be a fit. And I think where people get hung up on storytelling is, we're taught in school that a story is once upon a time, I. And that is where we need to just draw the line, because business storytelling, it is an art form, it is a craft. There are specific elements to it. And what I learned a phrase a long time ago that I use is like, stop weeing on people. If you're using the word I, we, us, me, right? Like that is not what we want to start with. We always want to put the person that we're talking to in the spotlight, in the story. And so telling people or having people understand that you can't tell the story from the I got up, I did this, I went to school, this is how I got my experience, but you have to kind of wrap it within the perspective, or from the perspective of the reader. That's what's going to make it really powerful. And there's a little bit of education around that, right? It's not hard. I love the story, or the story that you said about the kid, right? We all, if we're trying to convince our spouse, our child, our mother to come see a movie with us, we tell each of them a different story. We're playing each a little bit of a different angle with each one of them. And that's all that business storytelling is. It's telling that story from different angles so that it hits with that person who's reading it or hearing it.
Absolutely. In my days of selling insurance,
Mhm.
the most exciting product on the face of the planet. Uh,
It could be if
it
there's enough stories
it
in it.
it was all about
Mhm.
storytelling. We didn't call it storytelling. Some would say, you got to put yourself in the customer's shoes, or have that customer bring their story and put yourself in their
Mhm.
shoes. And we would often ask our agents, when the customer's talking, just listen. You're going to hear clues and cues. You're going to hear the dog in the background. Bring the dog into the story. You're going to hear children in the background. Bring the children into the story, and you make that collection, that connection, and all of a sudden, through storytelling, those barriers and that guard starts to come down. You start building trust, and you're just having a conversation, and you genuinely come across as someone who's
Mhm.
interested in being either immersed in that person's life, decision making, and you've now enabled them to be at ease because you've now put them in a position. Hey, tell me more. And and I like the fact that you said it, because I said it just this morning to someone. Remove the I, remove everything that you can do. It's about the value that you
Mhm.
bring. If you're going to use I always say, if you're going to use I, follow up with I can help. I you will learn. I always make it about them, and you touched on it, so it came full circle
Mhm.
today. So thank you
Mhm.
so much for bringing that uh, question. When it comes to marketing and the marketing problems, what happens when marketing stops being about tactics and it starts to become a clarity problem? Does that impact the story?
Absolutely. If people don't know what you're saying, what story you're telling, what you're selling, what your service is, if people have to think, if they have to expend calories trying to figure out what you're saying, then they're not going to go any further. They're going to stop, right? And fall out of your funnel or leave or go look at somebody else. And it's not because, we often also hear about speak to a seventh grade level or younger. You were talking about a 4-year-old, right? We hear that a lot. And it's not because people are stupid or incapable of understanding, but it's because we really are not great at simplifying things. And clarity sells, confusion repels. The end. If people have to think, they're not going to. They're busy. They're thinking about picking their kids up from school. They're thinking about their budget. They're thinking about all the 17 million things they have to do. And thinking and trying to figure out what the heck you're saying is really not high up on the list for them. So clarity absolutely is really, really key. If it's not clear within 3 seconds what your website, your sales page, your email is about, they're going to check out.
Jay, does the same thing happen with storytelling? Can you articulate your story to the point where it's like, all right, I don't have time for this?
So I usually use my wife as the litmus test when I try to tell a story, because she will look at me, glazed eyes, and say, "You lost me."
Mhm.
She tells me, "You take too long. Stop being a storyteller that
Mhm.
talks too much." And I'm like, "Oh, gosh." So yes, it can happen, and I'll give you a prime example. So I started in the legacy media industry as a journalist, right? And I actually started as a cable news reporter. And
Mhm.
in that newsroom, I went out, covered a story. It took 2 hours, had the video, had all the sound bites, went back, wrote an entire story, and it was chopped down to 30 seconds by my producer. You know how humbling that is, and
Mhm.
how much time and effort that you expended out on the field to then be whittled down to 30 seconds? 30 seconds. What can you say in 30 seconds? And how,
Lot.
right, but how much of an impact can you have with 30 seconds? And my mind,
Mhm.
I said, I can't do it. I can't do it in 30. What are you talking about? 30 seconds. I need more time. I need to have, I've got all these sound bites. It should go. And my producer just looked at me. We got too many other things that's more important in this story. Either you cut it down to 30 seconds or it doesn't make air. I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
So yes, I'm. That's an illustration of what we deal with actually on a daily basis when we're consuming all this information. And there's a lot of information out there. That 30-second story is normal now, right?
Mhm.
It's it used to be 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now it's 30 seconds and that's it.
Mhm.
So
But
this is
but
the way consumers take in content. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say to that, like most of us aren't, coming up on a 30-second limit on the nightly news, right? Right. So where we can or where we have an advantage is we can expand on that story somewhere else. But we just need to hook somebody in on our main sales page or wherever with the story that's going to bring the reader in, the user in, and then we can expand on the story somewhere else. And I just want to respond. Leslie had asked something about, so is sharing anything essentially storytelling? And yeah, it kind of is. Like when you're sharing a story, think of yourself at a party, right? When you're telling somebody about something, it could be about a thing you did, a product you have, a thing you learned. You're basically telling a story in that sense. I think where I see a lot of people go wrong in a funnel is sharing the wrong story first. And so, for example, I have a way that I teach how to write a sales page. A lot of people who are new to business or are in coaching and consulting lead with themselves first, right? We've all seen the pages that say, "Hi, I'm Amanda, and I help you with blah, blah, blah." That doesn't mean that you can't use that and tell your big long story, but somewhere, but just not there. Talk to the user first, put them in the story, and then you can introduce yourself and maybe expand on who you are and how you got there and all the other things on another page or further down the page or something like that.
Well, thanks for answering that question for Leslie. Can we answer or jump into the conversation that may prompt more questions? What happens when there's a conflict in the story? There's a conflict in your funnel, and you see it more prominently in larger enterprises, but it could rear its head in small business where, marketing says one thing, sales team says
Mm,
something completely different. There's misalignment,
mhm,
IT isn't ready, you know, customers reach out. It's like, hey, I got this email. It's like, what email? What are you talking about? Right? Conflict within the funnel. How often does that happen, and how do we fix that? And then we'll jump into conflict in storytelling.
mm. It's a good question. I think there's different levels of conflict, right? But it happens because ultimately, behind everything, behind every funnel is a human. I mean, like AI aside, right? Um, there's humans, and humans make mistakes, and sometimes the wrong workflow triggers the wrong email, right? You activate the wrong thing. What really should happen, in my opinion, is you own it. You own your mistake and you address it. And if you messed up, you say sorry and you fix it. This is that's like big things like when you make a faux pas or you say the wrong thing. But if your funnel is broken because let's say, somebody enters their email address and they sign up for something and then they don't get the thing, you may never know. This is why it's really important to check all the pieces of your funnel, make sure everything is working, test it, go back to it, several months later even and retest it. Just always be aware of what is going on in your funnel so that you avoid these things. But it happens to everybody.
It happened to me just the other day.
I mean, it happened to both of us. We
Uh,
both found
yes, we did. Yeah. So
flaws.
that one aside, we kind of pointed each other in the direction. Hey, I came across one of your social
Mhm,
channels, and you're missing something. Yeah, and you're right. We're human. Mistakes happen. Things will happen. I put out a invite for a master class that I'm hosting. Hey, come on down. Come hang out with us. Here's some details. Here's the day in which we're doing it, and no mention of
mhm,
time, no mention of time zones. It's like, well, so I'm just supposed to give up my entire
mhm,
day and wait for you to show up. So, you live and
mhm,
learn. Jay, conflict in storytelling. Here's what I'm envisioning, and feel free to humble me with your expertise. When I think conflict in storytelling, I think of people who share with us, hey, this is my personal brand. This is who I am. I'm raw. I'm unfiltered. I'm going to say what I have to say. I'm going to say it in the way that I want to say it. And I don't care who gets upset, who gets offended. That can cause conflict. Or am I overthinking this? And it's like, hey, you know what? If that's who you are, if that's your personal brand, then you bring your story. Just be prepared that you might upset some people. You might create some conflict and you might lose some followers. And it's okay to be yourself, provided that you understand the fallout of that conflict.
I to me, so yes, I mean, definitely that's a conflict. But if somebody is really intent on drawing people in, that's not one of the ways to do it. That goes beyond conflict. That goes beyond um, trying to make sure that their messaging is clear. Because if you're trying to get people to be partners with you, then that's not a way to basically put your story out there. And I see what you're saying, but is it effective? If I'm saying I don't, I'm going to do what I want to do and everyone else be damned, how does that draw the audience to you? Right? You're going to get rebels, you're going to get the loners who may say, oh, yeah, he's great because I agree. Everybody else be damned. Let me go see what he has to say. If those are the people you want, then maybe. But if you're trying to go to the broader audience, then that's something that I would say they need to be coached on. They need to have somebody like Liisa to be able to help them. And me, basically, how do you get your story out there without being so confrontational, right? Confrontation is okay as long as it's drawing people together and drawing people in to help build this partnership. Now, I will say conflict can bring people in if they see them, like what Liisa was saying in the beginning, if they see themselves in that conflict, right? I'm out there, I have a problem, and you're solving it because of what you have to offer. Oh man, I got a huge conflict. So I'm gonna make this a little bit funny, but a little bit, simple. I don't like boxer briefs that have polyester in it.
Mhm.
It makes me itch. Now, there's a conflict, right? And I'm, I get violently ill if I do wear these things. But you have a product that you're going to sell to me, and you know about it. You created it because you know my problem. You know it intimately because you have the same issue. And so
Mhm.
that's how you can share your conflict to draw people in. You don't want to be
Here's
conflicting and push people away. And that's just my way of looking at things. I don't, maybe you might have a different perspective, Liisa. What do you think?
I think,
Liisa.
yeah.
Let me share my example, and then I'll
Yeah.
let you articulate. Last year, it's almost a year now. Remember the Coldplay
Hmm.
incident, the
Hmm.
concert, the conflict in the workplace, and how that exposed people. But everyone got on that bandwagon and created content around it because they were focused on clicks. They were focused on, hey, we got to ride this wave because it is getting millions of eyes, visibility, discoverability. And we ride the coattails of other people's conflict and other people's stories. If we were to make it geopolitical, another great example, people share their opinions, their geopolitical opinions, and people show up in droves, or they shut you down and they want nothing to do with you. I'm gonna pause here and let you two run
But
with that.
before she goes on, I immediately, I'm like, Maury Povich, like all of those hosts that we saw in the past in the 90s and the early 2000s, right? there's an audience for it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Right. You have to understand, though, is that the audience for you?
Mhm.
And do you want that kind of audience to be your partner or take your service or product? So now I'll shut
Boy, now I get to respond to an awful lot. So, there's conflict and there's conflict. There's, stories need conflict for them to hold our interest, right? Like if we watched a movie that was a person did something and they got everything they ever wanted without having to climb a hill or go through mud or you'd lose the girl or the dog dying, like the story would be boring. And it's the same with that storytelling. We start someplace, there's a challenge. That's what the conflict is. There's a challenge that we need to rise above and then come out the other side. That's the story arc. And that's conflict that we're speaking to with our people in our stories. Um, I think, I take a slightly different approach to conflict in terms of being who you are. I absolutely advocate for being who you are. I've always been told you're too much, you're too aggressive, you're too honest, you swear, like blah, 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 blah. And so I'm like, okay, well, then you're just not my ideal customer. My ideal customer knows who I am. And I think it's just as important to attract your true people with your true self, your true personality, and repel the people that are not going to be a good fit because it creates a lot of heartache and waste of time and waste of energy trying to serve people who you're really not in alignment with. That doesn't mean you say to them, get away from me, you suck, I don't want to work with you. You can just say like, hey, I don't think we're a good fit, I don't think my service is going to be good for you, but I can suggest some other people who might be a better fit for you. And that's a great way to do it. So I think it is really important to, just like when we were in school and we had to like figure out what we wanted to be when we grew up, it's just as important to know what you don't want to be when you grow up. It's the same thing with business. Who do you want to serve? Who do you not want to serve? Who do you best serve? Who do you not serve well? Because otherwise you're going to be tied up in knots and the conflict is going to be in you. And none of us get into entrepreneurship to be conflicted and unhappy, right? So it's niching. It's really, that's what it is. It's like find your niche, go after your people. There is a market for everything. And I think, if we see that on school, there are so many unique communities that have masses of followers. There's a market for everything, and there are people who will follow you. Don't, piss them off. Don't offend the people. Don't call them, don't shame them, don't judge them, don't do that, but be yourself. I think that's okay, and I think that's necessary. Sorry, I said a bad
Yeah.
word.
No, no, that's hey. Well, if that's the worst that you're gonna say, then we're good. I was. uh, this is a great conversation. I want to jump into uh, freebies.
Mhm,
Now, many of us have our free ebooks, our free this, our free that. Just comment, ebook or comment that those clickbait
mhm.
type of marketing funnels. What are your thoughts? Does that help hinder? Do people get it wrong more often and break the funnel because they've complicated? I'd love to hear your
No,
thoughts on
I think that there's a
freebies.
place for everything, right? And so when we talk about the traditional visual of a funnel, it's that V shape, and we have our three standard categories: tofu, mofu, bofu. Fun to say. Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. I've actually redrawn the funnel, um, and people can come follow me, and I'll tell you all about it. But um, top of funnel, where people don't know you. The goal is to turn a stranger into a follower, not necessarily a buyer yet, but a follower, somebody who's just getting to know you. And so a freebie is a really great way to do that. I think the types of freebies that are popular now or that resonate with people may have changed. It used to be a PDF. It would be like a checklist or a guide to something. And those are less effective now just because people download a PDF, forget where they put it on their hard drive, and never see it again. So there are better ways to get something into the hands of your prospective buyer. But it's a great way to do it. It's an introduction. It's a, hey, it's an opportunity to solve a problem. And I think that's where people go wrong. The freebie doesn't solve a problem, or it doesn't solve the right problem. It doesn't set up the rest of your funnel in the right way. So you have to understand who your person is, what they're struggling with, what the big transformation is at the end of the funnel, and what they need right now. What one simple problem can you solve for them with that freebie? And what additional problems can that open up for them? Not like a clickbait thing, but as like oh, I didn't even realize this. Now that I've gotten this thing fixed, holy smokes, there's so many other things that I need help with. And that's what brings them deeper into the funnel.
Awesome. Jay, freebies and storytelling. Most people who want to invest in storytelling are either doing so because they want to get paid for public speaking, they want to publish a book. They seldomly want to just tell stories for the sake of telling stories. There's always a motive. Let's call it a motive for storytelling, right? You either want to build a relationship, strengthen a relationship, and sell something at some point throughout that relationship.
So there's
what advice? What can we
oh
say?
man, there's two sides to this, and it's. I was just looking at this the other day. So here's the thing: we're all savvy enough today to understand the process. If you're giving something away, you're trying to get me to buy something. We see it. It's like, you're trying to get me to buy something. This is just a freebie. It's going to lead me. So the consumer is already savvy enough to go, it's a ploy. But then there's the flip side, right? Where you're doing this, you're trying to gain people into your community, or you're trying to partner with them. And so you offer this freebie just to give them a taste of what you got. And then they take it, and like Liisa said, they put it on their hard drive and they forget about it and they never come back to you. So there's two sides to this, right? If you're the guy who wants to get all the free information they can before they actually take action, you may want to do this. You may benefit from it, right? And on the flip side, the business person could also gain a little bit. In street terms, I give you the free taste for free, and then it brings you back. But it's true though, right? It does draw people in. Is it as effective? Not anymore, right? And there are some studies out there that prove this. And one of the things is does it provide value? If it's not providing value, these people are like, man, I don't, go ahead and give me all the freebies you want. And I think that there's a couple of people out there who are really good at this stuff. Alex Hormozi, if you look at him, if you go study any of his stuff, you'll see there's some freebies and stuff that he gives out. And then he gives away these things, and his funnel is crazy, but he'll take you through this journey. And by the time you're done, right, he's got it down to a science. He's even in the Guinness Book of World Records at this point because of the amount of stuff that he's done and sold. He's got it down to a science. But I'm going to say this real quick. I think that when we look at how we try to appeal to somebody, we should obviously know who we want, right? In the rules of engagement in storytelling, the first thing you do is you look for the audience, right? Is this the audience I want to appeal to? Is this the right audience? And then you go from there. Second part is you got to have a hook. I'm from an island, right? I know all about hooks and fishing and stuff like that. You try to bring these people in. And that's, to me, why storytelling allows you that opportunity. It provides you the authority. People see that you know what you're talking about, and you know your service and the product that you're trying to pitch. So Alex Hormozi, the other person I just came to understand and know recently was Forbes Riley. She is a firebrand, like a billionaire, right? She made $2 billion and stopped counting.
Mhm.
She's that good. So anyway, I'll stop.
Yeah. And she is a fabulous example, right? She can sell anything, and that's exactly how she developed her storytelling because she sold stuff on QVC for years and years and years. She can sell anything to anybody. But I think, ultimately everybody is selling something. And I think it's okay. And this is where people get really stuck and afraid to sell and afraid to make their offers because they get intimidated or because they've been burned by sleazy, manipulative, pressure filled offers. There's a very big difference between sales tension and sales pressure, right? Sales tension where you create the want and you want somebody to actually feel good about buying and you make the buying experience good. um, I'm okay with hopping on a webinar and or looking at a freebie and knowing that there's something at the end of it if it solves my problem first. And I think the difference is these clickbaity things where they advertise, I'm going to give you the 3 tips to the 10K month that you have to, blah 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 blah. And then you get there and they might give you half a tip and they say, well, for the other 2.5 tips, you have to buy my $10,000 program. That's gross, right? But you can give a freebie that actually solves a bite-sized problem. You give the value there, and then you open up the door. You build the trust, you build the credibility, you build the authority for somebody to want to say to you, okay, this was great. This really helped me. What else you got? How else can you help me? That's all we're trying to do, right? It's not a bad thing to sell or want to sell. Budweiser and Doritos do
Absolutely
it all the
not.
time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's bring the elephant that is in many people's rooms into this conversation at this moment in time. Let's talk about, because this can be argued both ways, strengthening or flattening a funnel, a narrative. AI, some people like it, some people lean into it, some people are opposed to it, some people are still sitting on the fence like, I don't know, it doesn't feel authentic, doesn't feel like that it's me. What are your positions on AI? It's no secret I use it, and I'm happy to say that I use it because it makes me more efficient,
Mhm.
quicker to go to market with some pieces of content and some support. At first, I was apprehensive, and still my value proposition is still live streaming as a strategy. It's top of funnel. We're building awareness. We're building trust, but we're also differentiating ourselves from the AI slop at the same time.
Mhm. I think
So
that's the key
I
differentiator there, right? Like the slop. Um, I think, AI is here. It's not going anywhere. If we resist it, bury our heads in the sand, we're going to get left behind. And the truth is, AI isn't new. It's been all around us for years in many different ways. It's just doing different things now. I use AI too. I have a video editor that I can tell, like, fix this, and it does it, right? Like, I'm not sitting there for hours figuring it out. um, I think you have to know your audience and know what are your brand values are, and make sure that how you use it is in alignment with that. So for me, one of the things that I teach is, your brand starts with you. You can be yourself. You can be brash. You can be bold. You can be colorful. If you swear, great, good for you. Go with it. Um, so for me, what is not in alignment with that is maybe an AI clone doing my videos for me. That's not me anymore. Like, that's out of alignment for me. But other small efficiencies, or helping me edit my videos when I screw up and I say the wrong thing or I stumble over my words, things like that, or helping ideate or strategize or create artifacts, I think that's okay. But it's really going to depend on the individual and their brand values and what their audience wants and the promise that they're making their audience, and those need to align.
yeah.
So I wrote an article on this exact point. Um, I wrote my book, The Rules of Engagement and Storytelling, because I was drawing the line in the sand. I
Mhm.
wanted people to remember that we are the storytellers, not AI.
Mhm.
And I was adamant about that. And as I started to actually see what AI was all about and use it, I said, okay, it's going to be my tool. And now you're going to see I've kind of come 180 on this a little bit. I actually have a J Pasqua storytelling strategist AI agent
Mhm.
in my platform. Now, I don't want to get into the weeds, but this is why guardrails, if
Mhm.
you learn about AI, know what AI is, when you build an agent, guardrails are important. Just like
Mhm.
guardrails are important on the road, guardrails are important for your AI agent. You know, if somebody says, hey, Jay, what do you think about us going to the moon? My AI agent is going to say, well, if it has anything to do with storytelling, blah, 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 blah. Right. If it's not related to storytelling, my
Mhm.
guardrail comes up and says, hey, don't answer this. Move
Mhm.
on. And so AI is a tool
Mhm.
and it can help us, but it should not tell the story. You know, I started out the article with a little intro of, you know, everybody knows the Borg on Star Trek now these days,
Mhm.
right? And their phrase was resistance is futile.
Mhm.
And while I'm not saying that, you know, we should become part of this collective and lose our soul. I'm saying don't be left at the station, right? Get
Mhm.
on this train rather than not know where you're going. Get on the train and have a destination in mind and go there. Take control, right? Be the
Mhm.
conductor. Don't let AI pass you by. That's what I
Yeah.
was saying, essentially.
Yeah.
Take the tool, use it, and share your story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we tend to forget that AI was trained on everybody's stories, right? Like, or that's where it sucks its information from. But I think this is where also um, the AI doesn't know your deep, dark story, your experience, your lived experience, your passions, your thoughts, your dreams, everything that's in your journal. And that's what we need to draw out. And I think this is where we need to understand how a story is written, what the story arc is, what are the elements of a story, what are the elements of a good sales page, what is the buyer psychology, what is people's buying patterns, all these things, because if we don't know these things, then we can't check the AI output. If we just ask AI, write me a sales page, tell a story, it's going to tell somebody else's story or like make up a story because we know AI makes things up all the time. And then if we cut and paste that onto our
What?
page, then it's going to be soulless. It's going to be flat. It's going to be that slop. But if we understand story structure and we understand buyer psychology, we don't need to like go get a PhD in it. We just need to read a little bit of it. Just educate ourselves a little bit, test it and tweak it. And then if we know what the output needs to be, then we can make it so we can get the help that we need. But it has to be, like you said, we need to be the train conductor, but we need to know what's wrong with it in order to fix it.
Awesome. Hey, this has been a fabulous conversation. We're at the top of the hour and we want to respect everyone's time. So one final
Mhm.
question before we wrap things up. So for anyone listening to us live, anyone listening to this on replay, if you're listening and you realize that, hey, what I've heard today is exactly where I am in my story, in my narrative, what's the simplest way that either of you and both of you can tell them to move from being stuck to moving to having momentum?
I'll let the guests.
Lisa,
Put me on the hot seat. Um, what is the best way for moving to being from being stuck
from being stuck to
to
momentum. Yep.
momentum is, I think just simplifying it is you don't have to do this alone. Ask somebody. Have one of my biggest mantras is get a mentor be a mentor, give and receive. And if you're stuck, chances are somebody else is experiencing that same thing too. It's like, so don't be afraid to ask for help. Ask for a fresh set of eyes. Ask somebody to mentor you. Hire a coach. Like those are really good things. They can help you get another set of eyes on your thing because we lose perspective when we're stuck in the mire, right? So ask for help.
Oh man, I love it, Lisa. You've been really great. I love your insights. Love all the stories you shared. So, uh, I will say something, and it may sound cliche, but let me tell you, when I looked at Michael Jordan's story, right, a couple of interviews that he gave, one of the things that stood out to me was even for me, he's the GOAT, right?
Hmm.
We can argue that till the cows come home, but
I'll agree with you.
he was my guy.
Hey, what?
Yeah.
I thought Kobe was your guy.
No, Kobe. Listen, Kobe is the second. Michael Jordan, great. Listen, so Michael was awesome. I grew up watching him. He was great. And so, but he too had a coach. He
Hmm.
had a coach. He failed 300 times. Listen to this. He failed 300 times, but
Hmm.
who cares? Nobody cares about that. They care about all the times he won the ring, right? All the times he went to the playoffs, all of those things. That's what people remember him by. But he had a coach. The
Hmm.
other part was, and you mentioned Kobe, and I mentioned Kobe in the past. Kobe, at the end of his career, guess what he wanted to be?
A coach.
A storyteller.
Oh.
Now, that blew my mind. And yes, he did want to be a coach. He wanted to be a coach for his daughter, right? So, yeah, absolutely. But coaching, storytelling, these are the things that go hand in hand. And I truly believe it. You need a coach. I need a coach. You know who my coach is? Misha Mabane. I love her because she helps me. She pushes me, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes I have to have somebody tell me, dude, you suck. You need to do something about that. And I'm real about it. I wasn't like that before. I was like, you calling me out? Dude, we're going to fight.
Hmm. We need
But
somebody to call us out.
right, exactly. Sometimes we got BS and, somebody's got to tell you you got BS and push you through that BS. That's
Hmm.
that's the thing. And so I totally agree with what Lisa said. And sometimes you can have, if you don't want to seek or don't have the means to seek a coach, there's YouTube University and there are a bunch of coaches on there, right? And there's books, there's tons of books. There's tons
Hmm.
of books about how to improve your mindset, how to improve what you're doing, how to improve your storytelling, hint, hint,
Hmm.
rules of
Hmm.
engagement. But look for the resources.
Hmm.
Look for the resources. I think that's the main thing I'm trying to
Absolutely.
say.
I would just add one for that too, is like there's well, two things. There's a story that our head tells us, like our brain is always telling us a story, and sometimes we have to quiet that noise. But to jump off on your thing, getting a coach doesn't have to be expensive. There are people in your community that would love to be asked to be your mentor, right? There are successful business people. You are the sum of the company you keep. And if you want to elevate, you have to surround yourself with people who are at a higher level than you. So look into your community, who's on your like city council or on boards or who's doing great things. Just ask them for time. Ask them if they would mentor you. I would guarantee you're going to get a yes. People love to help and pay it forward. So just ask somebody. Heck, I'll mentor you.
Fantastic. Hey, I'd like to, before we close the show, Leslie has shared AI is dangerous for authentic storytelling. And if we have time, I'd love to tackle this because I can see this being argued both ways. Dangerous if you're having AI create a fictitious story through a prompt that you've entered. But for instance, if we take today's conversation and take the transcript and have it frame a summary of what's taken place, and then we jump in and we put our personal touch to it, that's still leveraging AI. is that as dangerous? Is it still constituted dangerous? How would you respond to Leslie's comment here?
I think there's context is everything, right? And I think we could read this statement in very many different ways. If you're talking about dangerous but authentic storytelling in terms of like book publishing, and there have been now examples where AI written books, and publishers are going to stay away from them. If you're presenting AI as work, creative work, and not disclosing it. Like there's lots of contextual differences that we need to be aware of, and there's a lot of nuances. I think taking this transcript and saying to AI, "Hey, can you give me show notes for this?" Like I think that's great as long as it still tells the truth, right? It stays on point. It doesn't make up some other story. So I just think context is key.
I think intent is also key.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
what type of intent are you trying to uh, do to use that AI, use the tool? You so, and I'm going to simplify this again, and maybe oversimplifying it. You can use a hammer to build a house, or you
Hmm.
can use a hammer as a murder weapon.
Hmm.
I choose it to use AI for good and to help others, right? There is a danger, right? And so this is the biggest debate going on right now with AI
Hmm.
all across the globe. There is a danger, right? I think it's the intent. What is the
Hmm.
intent of the use of this, and where is it going? I think that's where we can put up the guardrails, make sure
For
that
sure.
there's not going to be that malicious intent to
Hmm.
to do wrong with it, and put out stories that are going to negatively impact society. That's a whole other philosophical debate that we
Hmm.
can get into, but it's going to be long.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. You could also use
Oh
a
man,
hammer in self-defense. So just saying.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. So it is.
3 uses now.
Okay, so I just want to respond to this. Watch for a huge slot of M dashes as an indicator when AI is the primary creator. I am going to push back hard on that one. I am team M dash, team Oxford comma, like the power, the rule of three. All of that stuff existed way before AI took it. And so yes, AI does tools, AI bots. They do get a little overzealous on that, but the M dash, I'm gonna stick to that and I'm gonna use it until I die.
Me too. I love M dashes and ellipses. You can tell it's my work by both.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I
However,
love it.
like make sure you know the difference between a hyphen, an N dash, and an M dash, right? Like so there's lots of stuff there. But yeah, it breaks my heart when people say, "Oh, AI wrote this because there's an M dash in it." And it's sometimes yes, and there are other hints and tells, but by itself, I am I resist that one.
All right, we now have a fourth use for a hammer. Hammer can be used to build something. Love it. Thank you, Deidre. All right, so we're past the hour, and this is typically what happens. And every time I'm asked, so how long do your shows go? Well, they've never gone shorter than an hour. They've always, I try to stop them at the hour. We're having a fabulous conversation, and you know, I've I've been on shows where we go on for 4 and 5 hours at a time, but we are not that show. So
Good.
rest assured. um, Listen, it has been a absolute pleasure, delight. We're going to repurpose this and meet people in different mediums. We're going to summarize this and find a home for those who love to consume the written
Mhm.
word. I will repurpose today's conversation over on Substack. Those who prefer that short and snappy, you're going to find short clips over on YouTube. And the replay will be available here on LinkedIn events in my profile, as well as on YouTube for those who want to listen to the whole thing. Let's take this home. Why don't we wrap things up? Lisa, why don't you share with us how people can get a hold of you? And I will bring up your QR code, which, by the way, will take users to your LinkedIn page.
That's perfect. LinkedIn is perfect. It tells people how I'm going to rise above my banner here. Um, how to get in touch with me, my school communities, if people want to find me there, and my website 2icopy.com is the hub for it all. So spelled out TWOEYE copy.com. That's how you find me. I'm pretty easy to find.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being our guest this week. It has been an absolute pleasure. Jay, here, we can see Lisa again.
I could have just put my thing down in the first place.
Jay, how can people get a hold of you, get a copy of your book? The QR code will also take viewers to your LinkedIn page.
Yeah, so absolutely go to LinkedIn. I'm there, right? You can also go to my platform, masterclass.ruleyourstory.com. And that's going to help you tell your story, right? And there's different tiers. Personal, right? If you want to make a toast, if you have a eulogy you want to help with, that's the first tier. The second tier is really about professional, right? So if you're in the boardroom and you want to share your story about, what are the finances looking like, that can help you. And then if you're serious about sharing your story in a book form, there's the author tier. And then lastly, if you're a corporation or business and you're trying to grow your business and you need help with communicating in all departments, there's the enterprise version, masterclass.ruleyourstory.com. Check it out. We were talking about freebies. I've put it down in the code. I have a 14-day trial for 3 of those tiers. The enterprise version, not so much. But the other 3 tiers, if you want to tell your story, I can give you a 14-day trial. Put interest in the comments, and I'll hook that up for you.
Is that compound interest?
I hope it will be.
All right, everyone. We're going to wrap things up. It has been an absolute pleasure. For those of you who don't know, I love live streaming. I am a tofu top of funnel creator, and I absolutely love helping you raise awareness around your story, around your value proposition, and move you along to help you build trust and get the conversation going. So whether it is a long drawn out funnel or a extremely short funnel, it always starts at the top, and that's where I'd like to spend my time, at the top, because that can go either way. You can be at the top of the mountain, or you can be at the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
Thank you once again. Let's bring up the thank you slide. And we talked about AI. I'm going to queue up a AI generated song because I have no musical skill, but something I put together for another collaboration that I'm working on. Enjoy it. And if you two would like to stick around, feel free. Otherwise, for those listening, have a great rest of your day, wherever it is that you find yourself, morning, afternoon, or evening.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now, everyone.
Thank you.
You've been carrying wisdom like a loaded page, years of miles, scars, lesson engraved. You did the work, you earned the view, but the numbers haven't followed you. You've got stories worth more than likes, vision sharper than a million mics. It's not about grind.